which is
Alright guys, Bill here,
why isn't she
back
a
on
target?
more.
She needs to be a target.
Watch that.
People are starstruck by her, and I'm not into it.
Listening to your live feed
targeting
update from
Janelle.
RJP.
Yeah, I do feel like, you know, a lot of the
I just finished recording my preseason power
he's
ranking
doing the most right
for
now,
Big Brother.
doing a lot,
I should have done this
pedaling
before
a
I
lot,
started
and
recording,
this
but
is
I'm currently
probably the
setting up
biggest
the
war cry she's
premiere
had so far in the house.
projects because I
Janelle and
need to get
Kaser
this
are
edited
worshipped.
tonight. It's
They
an
need to
hour
be
and
looked
5
at.
minutes
They're
is
a
the
pair.
raw
They need
recording.
to be looked at. She is
I think it went pretty well though.
that is
I'm
the
pretty
most
happy with
loud
how
about trying
the
to put the
audio
pairs into the
turned
forefront.
out.
I think this is just Danny's MO of let me kick as many things in front of me as possible to start, and then I can just have multiple barriers in front of me. But I don't think it's like completely from a place of malice. It's more so let me just put other people in front of me and then work with the people I want to work with anyways, even if they're targets now.
Yeah,
I think that if
let's go ahead and
if there was something that happened in the pregame, we had been hearing that Janelle was doing a lot in the pregame, that she was pregaming a lot. If Danny was not doing a lot of pregaming, but one of the people she was pregaming with was Janelle, and she felt like, okay, maybe we can do something here. And then she starts to hear that there's a lot of pre-gaming happening by Janelle and that Janelle's talking to a lot of other people, then she may feel like, oh, I was being played. Janelle's talking to a lot of people. I'm not talking to a lot of people. And now she might come in thinking, okay, Janelle is dangerous in this game. Everybody's sucking up to her. She probably pre-gamed a lot. I don't like that. Whereas Janelle looks at it like, Danny is one of the people that I talk to. Danny is one of the people that you know, I can probably work with because I pre-gamed with her. This is all complete conjecture on my part, but there's something going on here. Yeah, there's definitely something, and we're gonna continue seeing this.
It's 12 o'clock. Past 12:21. So I'll probably try to record at least 2 episodes here. I want to finish Watch Dogs as quickly as possible.
Apart from what I've seen, from what I've gathered, but I think Danny feels like she's got a little bit more leeway around the house to just not really want to commit to this relationship, at least for the time. Yeah. So they also talked about how they are worried. Danny in particular is worried about Bailey and Davon. And how she thinks that they are friends and that they're trying to play their relationship down. Now, there is a relationship there. Swaggy tweeted out that Bailey and Davon in particular have not interacted all that much. However, Davon and Swaggy have had a close relationship because she was there for him while Bailey was in the house. And they also are going to have a conversation a little bit later in the day that we brought up on the draft last night in front of a lot of people where Davon essentially was like, I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you after the season. She was in tears. They gave each other a hug.
I remember this mission now, bro.
So Danny is concerned about this. Danny doesn't seem to love Bailey. She thinks that, and look, Danny has been against Bailey from the start, against Janelle from the start. Again, if Bailey did some light pre-gaming with Janelle, which I just speculated a little bit earlier, and that's the thing that Danny heard in the pregame after Janelle tried to pregame with her, then perhaps that explains why she's anti-Bailey, why she thinks Bailey's friends with Janelle, why she's worried about Janelle, and why she's worried about Bailey being friends also with Davon. I don't know, I'm trying to come up with a theory.
So basically, the chopper's going to lead us to the security chief.
Because even though I do see there's a lot of people hit us on the floor, we're getting a lot of the linkages, we're still also not getting all the context behind the links. There are some connections, some accusations, some reads that do not have enough supporting documents as evidence. So it is, I do think there's stuff that's in the pregame that we're not privy to just yet that will probably, hopefully, come to the forefront at some point. But I'm telling you, as a Danny fan, and as someone who also thinks Danny's doing a bit of the most, I also am noticing that Danny likes to continuously bring up as many duos, pairs, extra evidence of like, these are the people that need to be looked at. These are the people that are sketching me out. Because they're all in front of me, and then no one's gonna touch me. I'm alone. No one's here. Rob in the chat, like, pre-gaming sounds so innocent. Yeah. It's never like pre-gaming, Kuya. You know. Yeah,
there is such a thing as light pregame. There isn't. There really isn't. You're either full
fuck
tilt or
off.
you're not doing anything. Let's be real. It's a lie.
Yeah. Danny is gonna talk with Davon. They both agree that the game is best in its rawest form. Those are the best seasons. No twists. Twists are dumb. They both agree. They all agree. This is gonna be a topic of conversation all day long for multiple times, from multiple All-Star cast. They all agree the best seasons are the ones with the fewest twists. Twists get in the way of gameplay. It makes it harder to be entertaining.
Paranoia.
All of
Not
these
one of
veteran
you.
players know the truth. Someday production will surely find
That's
out.
one I know.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like Ian said, coming into the night, luck. Like, there's a lot of luck when there's a lot of twists. So, if everyone wants the rawest form of the game, which is as little twist as possible, just a pure game, it's because then you know who the real makers are. You know who the real movers and shakers are. You know who's the best, and that's how you get the title. This way, it leaves a little bit, it gives you a lot more stress, I feel like, with all the twists that come in. So, I totally see it, I get it, even though some of these people have not watched the rawest form of the show. But we'll get there.
Control of half the park.
Yes. Danny, the thing that Danny likes to do when she talks to people is,
things took a turn for the weird.
I like you. I like you. Like, I like you, Davon. I think that you're great. And, you know, it's funny because when we talked about Danny in the preseason, we talked about how she works with the people she likes. So this really is her being like, I like you. I would like to work with you. Davon likes Danny as well. Danny does say that she feels like we need to go after the pairs. Pairs are the dangerous pieces on the board. It's easy for Danny to say she's not part of a pair. They talk about, again, Kaiser and Janelle are big targets. Keisha and Memphis, they were tight on their season. You know, they talked about Enzo. He's so social. He's definitely going to make it far. And Danny brings up, you know, I expected to not like Tyler because I hated him on his season. But he's so nice. And he's coming in so lost. I just like him. I like him.
What's not to like, right? Am I right? I mean, that's the beauty of watching some of these perceptions coming, because like Danny's Twitter was one of the ones that was caught out. You know, like, oh, she talked about Tyler, she wasn't a fan during BB20, and now you look at it here, and she's kind of changing her tune on it a little bit. I think it's equal parts. Like, once you meet someone in person, it's a different vibe. But also, you know, I do think that, and we're definitely gonna touch on this, but I think Tyler is doing a good job at it as well.
Can I get out?
So it's interesting to see. It's also interesting to note that when she brings up pairs, when they're talking pairs, when anyone's talking pairs with him, it's Janelle and Kaiser, number one pair.
I thought there was a way we can get out without being infected.
Then Keisha and Memphis are being brought up, but then, you know, they're talking about Tyler. They're not talking about Bailey.
Backing you up.
Are they? That's not happening. So,
well,
dive into it.
Yes, in this conversation, after Tyler's brought up, the question becomes, how are Bailey and Tyler? And Davon says, I believe it's Davon says, Bailey and Tyler, they know each other, but they didn't like each other.
Yeah, they did fine. And like, this is what happens, right? You think about, you know, what's their relation, and you think about that one argument, amount, because that's what everyone goes back to. What they don't think about is, behind closed doors, they seem to have patched things up real nice. So,
fuck off.
And they're able to play this off in a way, get away with it in a way that I don't think any of the other pairs have been able to shed that skin. So it's good for them, it's working for them, and I mean, they're both doing, to my opinion, a good enough job of where no one's even looking at them as individuals.
We're gonna ram them.
So it's looking real nice for the two of them right now.
Yeah, after Danny leaves this conversation, Davon looks to the cameras and she says, look, I'm trying, guys. I know it's what you want. I know it's what the people want. Davon knows that people want her to work with Danny and with Janelle, and she's trying to make it happen. And like,
Wait, what?
I love that from Day. Like, that's part of what makes Davon Davon. But also, I don't love it because, like, Davon, I want you to be a little more like Franzel. I want want you to just like screw what the fans want, do what's best for your game, because this is potentially dangerous if you're trying to work both sides of this, because these two are not in the same place.
They're not in the same place. One is definitely saying the other's name loud enough that at some point we can get back to each other. This is happening. Although, like, I get it.
Come on, what just happened?
Which one's for her, but damn it, Taryn, this would be amazing. Like, this would be, like, which one?
I think she's got to pick one.
Oh, she has to pick one. I don't think there's any other way. And at this point, I think she would fare better if she went to... Well, we'll get to where the breakdown is, but... Snap, I feel like she has her pick. She could go either side and, like, do well on either side. But I don't think there's any way she can make these two heads of house come together for a meal.
Find them!
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting because, essentially, like, Devon had a similar choice in Season 18, where she could have gone with...
Alright, I'm just gonna try to see if I can...
and them, but she didn't really...
Seems like a waste of time.
Okay,
She
we
was
got
like, I'm on the outside of that, so I don't want to go in. We talk about it as like the classic Devon mistake. She now has a maybe somewhat similar choice where she could go with Cody, Danny, and Franzel again.
I'm coding a dirty little virus to erase me from their system.
And I think that perhaps again she is in a situation where siding with the people that the fans don't like might be the better choice for her. Because it puts her in a slightly more advantageous position. But I think either way, she's in a pretty good spot so far. She's pretty quiet throughout the day. And that is, she says, her strategy. For now, she wants to take things very slowly, get to know people before she throws her lot in with them.
Yeah, she's just...
Oh, wait, that's the hideout now?
Social muscles is what I've been seeing as well. Not doing the most, really letting other people do that and just trying to get to know people. She spent majority of the day trying to get a puzzle done, which I think worked out real nice.
6 hours.
6 hours to do this puzzle. It didn't look like it warranted 6 hours, but I think the conversation she got out of it paid their way in gold.
Yeah. And I think she was really trying to play up like, man, I suck at puzzles, guys. I'm trying so hard.
Laying it all real thick, like 6 hours. It took me. I'm so embarrassed for myself. Yeah, Devon,
6 hours was her exaggeration. I don't think it was actually 6 hours. It was, but it was a long time. It was many hours. So Nicole and Franzel and Cody are going to get together in the HOH room, and we're gonna be able to feel out the first, sort of seeds of a side. Here, Nicole says, "Are we good? Like, you and me, ride or die?" It's like, for sure, yes, we're doing it. And she's like, awesome, okay. So here's what I was thinking. You make a guys alliance, I'll make a girls alliance. We'll compare notes. We'll split the house. And we'll be able to like play the middle of it. Right in theory. Again, very much the opposite of the Devon situation. Because the second the fans heard this, they collectively went, Franzel, no! It's not going to work out for her in that regard. But the idea is that Franzel has talked with Danny, and that they entered the house with Danny, Christmas, Devon, and Franzel. That they have kind of a bond, and that they've talked about potentially working together.
Or not.
Franzel would like to work with Devon as long as she's
oh, fuck off! Come on.
And so if she can get Danny to kind
really,
of
this car is so fucking.
This alliance, then
the controls on this are so loose.
And then Cody can work on pulling together some guys. His idea is very similar. He wants to get Enzo to try to get
what the fuck?
Guys
oh, what the fuck? I was about to kill him.
Enzo, Tyler, and maybe David or Memphis or someone, so that they can essentially orchestrate this group. I do think that the guy's side of things is a lot more likely to happen at this point. Franzel has not made a lot of progress yet on the women's side of things. She has made a connection to Christmas. She isn't good with Danny. It's the Devon part that I think she has not made a lot of progress on, and I don't know if she will make a lot of progress on.
I think that it's starting to slip away from her, the Devon connection. I think maybe more now than even at the start of the day. I think Devon has talked to other people, felt out other people, whereas Franzel has noticeably, a couple people by the end of the night have started noticing.
Ah, fuck, of course. That was unlucky. There's a fucking car right in front of him.
So, they've made it the fact to tell people that they have no connection, and they're trying to do what Tyler and Bailey are doing.
I don't know.
We don't know each other, we're in competition, we work with each other, so we're not friends. We need help! I do think it's funny that they're both doing the same approach of, hey, let's get one of the people that we want to work with to initiate because they seem like they
Fuck.
Like, I think making Enzo do it is the smartest thing Cody could have done. And because obviously, you know, we've all seen it. Enzo likes to brag about it. He created it. So let him do it again. It's fine. And then with Franzel, it'll be an interesting season. With Franzel, it's a situation
Fuck.
where I think that she can easily...
No, that was so unlucky. Come on.
I don't know if she's going to be able to bring them all together and create...
And this is really unlucky too.
As a collective. I think she can work the individuals. I don't know if she can use some help together or
Damn it.
be savvy enough to make one of them make it happen.
Oh fuck, what?
Yeah, you know, I've been watching Franzel over the course of the day. This comparison just like keeps popping up into my head, and people are gonna kind of freak out about it a little bit. But hear me out, because I think it's relevant as we. Clip them now. She reminds me a lot of Vanessa. In the sense
Stay alert, this one's smart.
like, no,
See anyone?
she's not as
Think we
smart
lost the
as
target?
Vanessa. She's like a less strategic Vanessa. All of like the social faults, and without the like super strategic mind. She's like Nicole does well not because of her social game. She does well because of her strategic game, and she's kind of just like this mini version of Vanessa.
Think we got
a
it.
lesser version.
He's gone. Regroup.
But her social game is so bad. Like she's a terrible liar. Like, and Vanessa was too. I mean, I think she's a worse social player and worse strategic player than Vanessa, but she has a similar ratio, is what I'm trying to get at. She's all strategy and no social. And Vanessa was very similar. Vanessa also was somebody who, like, we used every tool she had. She would gaslight people. She would guilt trip them. She would, like, just go full on, all out.
Oh, I thought we
cry
bought
about
this.
things. Like,
Why not?
It really, you know, look, I think it's a fair comparison, and that's I think we're seeing play out here. Nicole is trying to set herself up in a way where incentives line up so that she is in a good spot, and it's the social part of things where she's failing to put pieces into place that will make it actually happen.
I wish I'd known you.
Right, and I do think that you know, you can have all the strategic play and thought and playbook and
Sure,
game
let's go
plan, whatever
here.
you want to call it, in your mind as much as you want. If you can't execute it, that's not good enough. And I think that is the case here, because I think especially in an all-star season over any other season, an all-returning season, having the social capability of making strategic plays become reality is the most important tool in your arsenal. And I do think that is a tool that she does not really have a good version of. So I do think her idea is great in theory. You bring the guys, I'll bring the girls, and it's like the middle school dance, and then we all go in the middle at some point, and then we're all together, and we're like mixing and matching. Great, but you have to put in the work. You have to be able to recruit the people. You have to be able to maintain that these 4 people in this alliance are going to know Cody and I are going to be close. Like, there's a lot of steps that she would need socially to put capital on to make it happen. I don't think she's as savvy. So, with all that being said, I'm not mad at you for the Vanessa comparison, because I get which part of Vanessa you're focusing on and which part of Vanessa Vanessa you're not giving her, so I get it.
Yes, because like I see Vanessa as the quintessential like 100%
coming with me to
strategy,
Chicago.
0% social player.
Had to breach the building.
And I think
Bloom's
that
head
I
office.
think that Nicole has a similar
Security
ratio
specialist.
with a significantly lower skill
Yeah, it's
level.
not gonna be easy.
And I think that
And I'm a giant blip on their radar.
It's not
Once
just
I'm
that.
done here,
Add on
I
top
got
of
Raymond
that,
Kenny
it's
in my
sort of
back
like
pocket.
no holds barred. Like I'm gonna use every tool I have. I don't care what it makes me look like. I think that, and I think that Vanessa is a little more willing to own that than Nicole is, and I think that makes her much more likable. But I think that the way that they play the game has some similarities.
I'm near the entrance.
So Nicole, so Franzel, she's talking to Cody. Cody continues to talk about Danny throughout the conversation. He is really concerned about her. He thinks she's really smart. He thinks she's sneaky, and he thinks that she's somebody that they need to watch out for. Franzel says, I don't think so. I've got her. She's one of the people that I want to bring in. And I don't think you need to worry about that too much. I've got her covered. So he's like, okay, just watch out for how smart she is, though. We gotta be careful. Cody has thought about throwing up Janelle and Kaser, but he's worried about their competition ability. That's the only thing. And Nicole says, look, competitions are not the same as they were back when Janelle and Kaser played. And Cody's like, you're right. And yeah, she's right. They talk about Memphis. Nicole thinks Memphis is awesome. Cody thinks he's great. Cody also really likes David. Cody says Tyler is great to work with, but Tyler's going to be throwing competitions, and they need people on their side that will win competitions. So that's the only thing about Tyler. And Cody, I think what Cody really wanted to do before he talked to Franzel was Kaser and Keisha. I think he wants Kaser gone. But Nicole really pushes, no, it should be Janelle more so than Keisha. That if you leave Janelle off the block, she'll use the veto on Kaser. I like Keisha. I think Keisha should stay. Put up Janelle and Kaser.
Yeah, and it's in this conversation where
how the fuck do I get in?
You don't want Keisha to go home on your HOH. And Cody says, and I'm quoting, I don't even know who she is. Which just daggers to the heart. It really is. Get your history straight, please. And he's the one I'm alluding to that didn't really watch the Raw season. Didn't watch the Natural season 10. Because also he said, doesn't Dan show up at the end of it? He's not even in it. It's okay, it's rough. But so the point here being, to go back to actually the topic at hand, the conversation, I do think this is Nicole's way of trying to influence and trying to get what she wants to happen, which is put the pair on the block, split them up. I think she thinks she can work Keisha. I think she feels okay with Keisha. So
wait, how am I supposed to get in?
And I think she ideally wants to have them to be split and one of them to go. So I think that's what she wants more than anything. But I also don't think that
oh, there we go.
I don't think so. I've been still thinking about this Vanessa thing you've put out there. It's like she's like the Wish version of Vanessa, and I do very much see it being that way at this point, especially with other events that went on at nighttime, which we can get to when we get to. But it's interesting. Franzel's an interesting one to watch. I will say, I've said it in the preseason, not my cup of tea. I was like, at some point I let that go, and then now I'm like, you're literally my worst nightmare. You want all my faves gone. You're on the opposite side of things. But I'd be lying if I didn't say I'm kind of at least getting a villain that I can look at and actively root against, but also dissect. So I'm not mad about seeing Franzel on the screen yet. It could have been worse today, but yet.
Yes, and I like making these comparisons. I like seeing the similarities and trying to categorize kinds of gameplay.
Shit.
Of course, there are people already, and I can't believe that Taryn thinks that Nicole is Vanessa.
have the chat open, I was gonna ask you, how's the chat feeling about what you said? Like,
I think the chat sometimes has comprehension problems.
I'm near the entrance.
Cody's kind of like, okay, I mean, it's a big move to put up Janelle and Kaser, but
They spot you and they'll put the servers in lockdown. That'll end things real fast.
So,
don't
like,
get
what else am I
spotted.
gonna do? Throw up Ian? I mean, Ian. Nicole's like, no, not Ian. He's like, no, I mean, yeah, okay. Nicole talks more about wanting to work with Danny, and Christmas. Cody was concerned about Christmas, and that's one of the reasons why he wanted to win the HOH. That he was concerned that Christmas might do something wild carding. He didn't know what she was gonna do. He feels like she's a ticking time bomb. Like, she's calm now, but he watched her season. She like bullied people. Like, she was like, you know, she was big personality. He's just waiting for that to go off, and he's worried about it. Like, he made a joke with her, and he mentions this later in the day. He made a joke with her, she was like, "Are you ready for nominations?" He was like, "Yeah, you ready to go on the block?" And she was like, "What?" And he's like, "I'm joking, kidding." And so Cody is just, I think Cody sees Christmas as like, if he does the wrong thing or says the wrong thing to her, then like she's gonna snap on him. And so he's like, I'm just worried about her, and she's a competitor. So he is concerned. But again, Franzel feels good about Christmas, and she is gonna try to kind of put in a good word.
yeah,
How do I get in? I really don't remember.
This cast, a lot of them, in the face of adversity, will snap, will get angry, have gotten heated before. So Christmas could be one on a list of many for Cody. I feel like that's not one to worry about all that much, but I do think that eventually he's brought away from that through various people. I think Nicole has put in like a good word for Christmas. I think Tyler's put in a good word for Christmas. So that's been less of a worry for him. But I do think it's something worth noting that there are a lot of people here in the face of adversity, in the face of something not going their way. We could very well see them get heated real quick. So
Oh, there's glass?
here's the thing about
I'll still hit him?
plan. I don't like it. Cody wants to put up Janelle and Kaser. Okay, now here's the thing. I do agree, taking out Janelle would be a pretty good move from Tyler. From Cody.
Damn it.
That's because Janelle has been going around trying to put a target on Cody's back. The bomb squad, the detonators, they won so many competitions. Cody's a guy's guy. You can tell that Janelle came into the game worried about Cody, and Cody came into the game worried about Christmas and Kaser and maybe Janelle.
Fuck, how do we get
Janelle
in?
is definitely somebody who Cody should be concerned with. And so the idea of taking her out is fine. I'm not too upset about the people that he's putting on the block in terms of who he's targeting. I'm mostly concerned about how he has been going about this first HOH. And I think there's a lot of things at play here. First, there are pregame relationships and strategies that are, influencing the direction of the week. Second is that normally the first week is actually 2 weeks, and they have a lot of time to strategize and build things before nominations, after nominations, and so on. And then, third, these are all all-star players, and they're all savvy players. This isn't even All-Stars 1, where there were people who were making mistakes early on and making big targets of themselves. They have all said this, that they came into this game hoping that they could essentially just sit back and let somebody else screw up. It's a very typical, like, you have some experience, but you're not an expert at something. The best way to win, if you're in a game doing something like that with your level, your skill level, is to wait for a new person or a beginner or an unskilled person to screw up. If you try to do something fancy, you're probably going to screw up because you're still not experienced enough to pull it off. And so everybody is sitting there waiting for somebody to screw up. And there aren't any Allies or, Danielle Reyes's, or Chicken George's, or you know, Marcellus is like, nobody is here screwing up.
Fuck.
And that's leaving everybody just kind of like tiptoeing around, like, when is somebody gonna do it? What's gonna happen? And Cody is sitting up in the HOH room like, I'm the first HOH. That means people come to me, right? Like, I'm gonna get all the information. I'm gonna get all the stuff. And it's not happening. And this is, so, which brings me to, I think, this mistake here. He has this idea of who he wants to nominate, but part of being the first HOH is building consensus, and he understands this. They're like, oh, go after a house target. The problem is, he can't guess who the house target is. He needs to be told who the house target is. And so when he already has this idea of who he wants to nominate, by the time he talks to anybody, and he doesn't even talk to people too often, then he's missing out on a lot of relationship building. He is presenting himself as having his own idea that this is not a house thing, this is 100% a Cody thing. And the fact that he's not talking to everybody makes the few people that he is talking to very, very obvious. And so I think that Cody has not been playing this first HOH super well. I don't think it's going to completely tank his game, but I think he's missing out on a lot of like great advantages of the first HOH. He's leaving them all on the table.
Yeah, no, and I think that you know, as opposed to like, so his reasoning for going for this HOH was the safety aspect. He was not really happy with the options on the table. He was worried about Christmas. Get safety. That's good. I do think that I would lean to agree with you here with regards to the HOH. Yes, in other seasons, everyone's gonna bum rush you and kiss your, you know, butt, try and get in good with you, trying to figure stuff out with you, be like, you're in my plans, whatever. This is not that season. It's not a season for that kind of stuff. If anything, I think this kind of explains why there's been a lot of people that have been very cagey with doing what they did their first time, which is initiating an alliance. Everyone's kind of being like cards to the vest because they don't know where the shoes are going to drop. They don't know who's aligned with who. They know there's been pre-gaming, but not everyone maybe knows where all the cards are laid down. So it's a little bit more of a safe gameplay. But then I think what you have to do with Cody is use the
missed all those shots.
Safe.
That was fun.
You are safe now. No one can touch you this week. Use this to talk to everyone, lay foundations, get what's going on, and then systematically figure out, okay, these are the names that are on the table that
near
everyone
the entrance.
Because I think the biggest problem is if you are going after two people, and for some reason you don't get any of them out, and then next week one of them rises to power or
So don't get spotted. No problem.
all it takes is for someone to be like, hey, this is
Yeah, how am I supposed to get in?
you. Now you're in trouble. Now you're in trouble, and you're in the forefront of the trouble. So it's not ideal, but I think, like you said, it's not like he's in danger. It's not like he played it horribly. He just didn't play it to the ideal level that he had in front of him available.
And here's an example. After talking to Franzel, he talks to Nicole Anthony, and right off the bat, just says, "You're fine. Don't worry. You're safe." And then they just kind of chit-chat. Nicole says that she hasn't done any pre-gaming. He says, "Same. One of them's lying." And this is a mistake for various reasons. It's going to come back to bite him later in the day for one reason, but also it's an example of what I'm talking about. I think he thinks that by telling Nicole Anthony, "You're fine, don't worry, I've got you," that he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm saying that I'm protecting her, that like you can trust me." But what he's really doing is telling her, "I'm not bothering with you.
You're not worthy of my. You're safe. Just leave.
Yeah,
Like I don't need you. You don't have any currency, any information that I need. Bye."
Exactly. You need to make people feel included. Ask her what her thoughts are. Man, I just won this HOH. I'm not sure what to do. What do you think, Nicole? Like, can we build something? Saying that she's safe tells her, I've already got my people. I've already got my plan, and don't worry, not targeting.
And you know, and like especially, she's saying I have a pregame, even if you don't take it on face value, whatever. You know who did talk to her during the day? You know who did work with her? The people you were potentially thinking about putting on the block. The people that you were looking at. Kevin, even Davon did it.
Okay, you know what?
6 different people that did
I really
exactly
don't remember
what you did.
how we get in.
Now have a leg up on you with one person who, even if their chance of being in power is 2%, they get it, you're not in a good spot anymore. So
Near the
it's a
entrance.
missed opportunity, especially when you have safety and you don't have to try and work getting good with the HOAs because you are the HOAs. So what do you do with that? Just fortify all of your allegiances, all of the friendships, all of the people.
No problem.
Make yourself currency so that you can use that currency later on when you don't have power. Big misstep in my books as well.
And I really do think like
What's this mission called again?
everything that Cody is doing would work in an all new player season. This is not an all new player season. You have to adjust your gameplay, and I think that's part of the problem here. And here's the thing too. All of these all stars, they're smart, but they're also way too gun shy. And I think Cody is one of those people that is too nervous to start playing. They're all worried about.
Alright, so now we're in 12 minutes. Alright, let's see.
Hey, man.
Don't get spotted. No problem.
Oh, I'm a fucking idiot. It's right fucking there. Okay, I'm an idiot. It's right fucking there. Okay. Oh, they're still alive.
Except for like Sam. And so like B Tyler in the end game. Agree. Taking out Janelle.
Alright, how far is
There
this
aren't
one?
any alleys or
For that kind of stuff. If anything, I think this kind of explains why there's been a lot of people that have been very cagey with doing what they did their first.
You know, actually, I think we'll just end here. I'll do another episode anyway. So yeah, for now, thanks for watching.
Because they don't know what